All right, welcome. Today I'm going to be installing Clazzio car seat covers in my '06 Tundra Double Cab. They're from 11 International, but sold by Clazzio. This is just the dark gray leather. Right now, these are kind of a bluish gray, and the leather's not in bad shape. There's some cracks there, and then like the armrest is getting pretty chunky, mostly on the driver's side. So the rest I'm just doing to kind of protect everything else. You know, the headrest is getting a little crunchy too, but you know, it's an '06, so it's a 20-year-old truck. But anyway, first thing to start with will be the driver's side bucket seats, and you order them specifically. You have the bucket seats with the up front, and then the split 60/40 seat in the back. And so first things first, as it says, to remove this armrest. So on the bottom of it there's a zipper here, so I unzipped that. Then there's this little plastic cap that pops out, and then it is a 14mm socket to get that out. So that's the next step. All right, a couple things about the armrest. It has this bearing that's on the inside against the seat, and then the bolt that came out of it has the bolt, which has a bearing surface integrated into it, a washer, and then beneath that is actually a spring washer. I can show that here. See, spring, see how it's bent? And so it takes a little bit of force to get started, but then it popped right out. All right, armrest cover on. There's not a left and a right, so you just got to make sure the hole is facing toward the seat. And looks pretty good. So we'll leave that off for now while we get the rest of the front captain seat. All right, we're behind the front captain seat now. To make it a little easier, I'm just gonna pop these plastic covers off. I already got this one off. And I'm gonna loosen up these bolts so I can reach up under the seat a little easier. All right, I removed these two 14mm bolts. And they also have a split washer and a washer on them. From the back, I did the same thing in the front. Those are both 14mm as well. That just allows you to kind of tilt the seat up a little bit. You're not going to move it much more than that because I don't know if you can see under there, but there's a lot of electrical stuff, I assume, for side curtain airbags and stuff. So probably nothing we want to mess with that much. All right, once you have access, the stock is held on with these two elastic bands, and they're, they were connected to some little circlips up underneath. So I just cut the elastic bands up by the circlip, because the circlips, there's no way I was getting those out without pulling the whole seat out. But anyway, that releases the back of this seat here. May be obvious, but make sure that seat pocket is empty, because it's going to be covered up by the new seat cover. All right, each part of the cushion is labeled, so you'll have this check sheet of what you're looking for, what it is, and how many of them you have. So since we're looking for the driver's side backrest, it looks like it is number 21. There's one of them. So there are two, backrests here. That one is the passenger side. This one is the driver's side, and I know because the little tag says 21. The other way to tell is you look for the front of it here, and you can see where the armrest hole is. And then for the side impact airbag, supposedly this stitching will break when the side impact airbag is deployed. So now we'll get this going. All right, after a lot of wrestling, got it on there pretty smooth. Getting these through was difficult, and in fact, there's a little tear right here that'll be under the headrest because the holes seemed way too small for these to fit through. But looking good, the sides look good. So now it's a matter of finishing up the back here. So basically some Velcro tucks through underneath, metal Velcro onto this, and then this will eventually tuck under. All right, not a lot of actual hardware comes in the kit, but there are some of these little hooks and then just this little plastic, squeegee tool to help, push pieces in. And it's plastic, so it should break before you break something. So these hooks go on the new Velcro, and then they hook up underneath the seat somewhere. Probably in about the same spot the originals did, so we'll try to figure that out. All right, there's a lot more slack than there was in the original, so with this, I just tied a knot about halfway down, put the hook in, and it'll hook the same place as the original. All right, next up is to do the seat bottom. For that, we've got to remove this handle. So we'll get to that. It looks like this will just pop out. There's a little slot here, and then I assume there's just a bolt underneath. All right, once the cover's off, it's actually number 2 Phillips. Well, they're probably JAS, but number 2 Phillips fits in there fine, so we'll get this off. All right, once it gets going, you're supposed to insert the seat cover inside this plastic, which on the driver's side, it's not that big a deal because you have decent access. Once you come around to this side, it's a whole different ballgame. So I'm glad I unbolted this thing because now you can take the seat. Sorry, kind of tilt it a little bit, and that gives you the room, to get your hand down in there. All right, we'll keep going. All right, time for the headrest. Thing here is the forward part of it, it looks like is a D facing that way. So I want to get this one to face, see how the D faces forward on this one? I think that's going to be a really tight fit. So we'll get started on that. All right, pardon the noise from the landscaping. Every day's landscaping day here in Arizona. But anyway, got the headrest on. It's got this loop thing. So, and the other just has a flat piece of plastic that'll go in that loop and it'll tuck up underneath. All right, there we go, all tucked in. And then it just goes back. Maybe. And seat's all done. Pretty good. Still don't love this corner, but maybe I'll be able to figure out how to smooth it out a little bit more. I think the headrest turned out all right. All right, the passenger seat's the same thing, so we'll skip filming that. And then the next part we'll get to is going to be this split back bench. Well, so far, I've just put it on here, kind of tuck these in the back, and then you got to tuck way down here, all this inside the plastic. That's as far as we've gotten. So it looks like it just needs a little bit of tightening up. I don't know, let's see. It's got the string, so that'll go underneath. There we go. Next up, we have to take this handle off. It looks like just one screw to do that. All right, now I need to loosen up some screws to get inside this plastic. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And those are all just number 2 Phillips Now that one, of course, is a Allen. Right there. That's an Allen. So I'll have to see what size that is. The answer ended up being a number 5, which of course, my number 5 is the one that's broken in my set. But luckily I have this little set here, so. Old number 5, Allen. And this plastic cover comes completely off. It just has a hook over this metal thing here and a little slot there for this piece to fit into. So it basically just peels right off. All right, so we got it all tucked down inside the plastic. Got the plastic all reapplied. What I will say is I actually took out a number 2 Phillips screw way down in there on the left side, and there's another similar one on the right side, just to be able to get that plastic back a little further. You tie the string underneath real tight, and then this just velcros down against the seat. And there are a couple spots where, I don't know, it has all these little like child safety things where it just doesn't, you know, quite want to lay in there. I don't know, but I think it's in there pretty good. Let's see what it looks like. Oh, I gotta put this back on first. All right, so the bottom's all in. Just got that reinstalled. And now we'll do the back and the headrest. All right, the other side went on the exact same way. Looking pretty decent. Our first thing we gotta do is pop this plastic thing off. It took a little, but you just see it just snaps onto there. We'll put that down, put the seat cover on. All right, in the back seat, it splits with a zipper down the middle. And you use that to get the seat belt on the front side. And then the armrest has to come out, and that tucks in back here pretty nicely. And then a part goes underneath and velcros back in here to make this little pocket. It's not quite perfect, but we still have some zippering and smoothing to do. And then unfortunately this handle has to come out again to go through that hole. So we'll do that again. And at this point the instructions kind of give up, but I got the hole put through here. And then there's a zipper down the back. And then that part you brought in from underneath and this part Velcro together and back. And turns out pretty well. So we'll do the headrests and the armrest and then put the seatbelt cover back on. Other than a lot of wrestling, the rest of this went on pretty easy. Where it fits right around the headrests. The holes are just a little tight, so you get little tears there. And then this, you just had to tuck the edge in underneath the plastic there, but that turned out pretty nice. All in all, I think they're a pretty good fit here in the back. All I have left is the passenger seat, and we're all done. All right, final. The last couple went in the same as the first. So here's the front row, armrests, headrests, and the back row. Got the headrests in. Armrest, I don't love it, just, I don't know, it doesn't fit up in there quite as well. The fit seems pretty good, and they look, I mean, almost stock. I mean, the stock ones are just a hair darker in this model, but yeah, and it's still got the seat back pockets, and yeah, overall, I think that's just wrinkled up from the packaging, so that'll settle out after a bit. Overall, I think pretty nice.